What is something that people should stop romanticizing? Being overworked and burned out. In a similar vein, being willing, or forced, to sacrifice your own health for your job. So many times I've listened to people get into bragging competitions about who has been the sickest and still gone to work. FCK that noise. If I'm sick, I'm keeping my ass at home. If there's one thing I hope COVID is able to permanently put to rest, it's the idea that going to work sick is in any way acceptable. And employers are 100% also on the hook for this. FCK off with your lean staffing plans. Read. Deliberate. Chronic understaffing, and offer sick pay to your employees so that they don't feel like they have to come in and infect the rest of the staff when they're sick. Mental illness. You have no idea how much it pisses me off. But you don't understand. I'm an actual psychopath. Sometimes I go so crazy that I post cringy Joker quotes on Facebook and then go back to doing nothing. It's probably been said before, but mental disorders illnesses are way too romanticized. There's nothing good about being depressed, other than maybe understanding what other depressed people are talking about. People romanticizing mental health has made me hide my anxiety and depression because I feel like I'll be told I'm faking it or that it's not that bad. I felt it had such a negative stigma to it that it took me years to go see a doctor about it, let alone admit to myself that I had mental health issues. Joker and Harley Quinn's relationship. He's abusive. People. On a similar note, Rick from Rick and Morty. He's a self-damaging alcohol with a propensity for running away and avoiding problems, and he's miserable because of it. Disability. It hasn't given me a whole new and different and unique and special perspective on things. I just can't see as well. It makes life harder. And it kinda sucks. Thank you. Honestly. I'm so over this. You can do anything you set your mind to. No, I can't. I'm disabled. It's hard for me to do a lot of stuff. And that's okay. Sometimes it gets me down, and that's okay too. I don't have to be the embodiment of positivity because I'm disabled. Influencer type lifestyle. I hate Instagram posts from normal people that post like they're an influencer and pretty much all of their positivity content is bullshit. No substance whatsoever. Toxic positivity can go FCK itself. It's why I historically don't care for hippies. Step 1. Offer free hug. Step 2. Ask for something. F-king works. Being an asshole on camera. People go around recording themselves destroying shops and ruining products just for a bit of clout that's gonna last a day at most. Get a F-king life and stop making people's jobs harder just because you want to be a star on Instagram for 2 seconds. The worst ones are those who film themselves giving food to homeless people. If you're only doing it for clout and trying to please other people, just F-king stop. Also, imagine how the person receiving the food would feel being filmed like a pet whilst receiving a meal they're most likely starving for. Overworking. The people at my job seem to make it a contest of who sacrifices more for their job. Who works the most overtime? Who does things off the clock for work more? etc. It's bullshit. I have a life and a family I want to prioritize. I notice this a lot when it comes to teaching. The most overworked teachers get all the praise. This puts a real burden on teachers who do like their job, but still are just trying to get through their day, not getting burned out along the way by all the shitty they eat all the f***ing time by both students, administration, parents, and people talking shitty about their profession, just like there are in any other profession. Suicide. It's not romantic by any means. It's worse when used as a manipulation tactic, along with cutting. These people think such tactics will get them what they want. Maybe temporarily if it does, but does damage over the long haul and pushes nearly everyone away. People need to stop romanticizing hustle culture. People need to understand that overworking does not lead to being overpaid. You are just going to end up being overworked and burned out. Just be consistent in whatever you do. It's not even about earning money anymore. Most people get overworked anyway, so they romanticize it as a cope mechanism because it feels good. It's a self-inflicted lie most of the times. Being overproductive gives them a status. You're basically telling yourself, I'm goddamn valuable member of society. Not like those other lazy fucks that doesn't work their entire day. Making long hours at work, not sleeping, hello brain damage, being stressed, caffeine addiction, being depressed. I don't understand why everyone brags about how little sleep they get and how they're night owls. It seems like it's just about everyone. I feel like a weirdo telling people I sleep regular hours and love morning time most. Gay people. For Pete's sake, we're not unicorns. We're not inherently cuter or more inspirational or whatever people like to say about us. If you wouldn't fawn over me if I were with a guy. Don't start melting into a puddle because I'm with a girl. Absolutely. A large part of the LGBT community makes it seem like sexuality is far and away the biggest part of who you are. It becomes their identity. Sexuality is certainly a part of a person's identity, but it shouldn't be anyone's central focus. Cheating and other forbidden fun with relationships. So many songs nowadays embracing the feel-good nature of a bad decision. Cheating. In the media it is shown as a love story. Nobody shows the suffering that the betrayed person suffers. The pain. All the trauma. These people are always abusive, ugly, unsuccessful. All as a way to justify adultery. OCD. OCD is not being neat and needing to have your pencils lined up or whatever. It's feeling that if you don't do a certain thing something horrible will happen. Like for me, if I don't grab the right straw or touch the right thing my brother will be killed. And it will be my fault. It's the worst feeling in the world. And what's worse is people think you're crazy and weird and dumb and tell to just stop. I can't stop. Stop romanticizing a serious mental illness. Having pets or children when you're unfit. I would add marriage to this. People need to address their own shit before they add another living being, partner, child, animal, to the mix. People either don't give it much thought and think that's what they have to do, or they think adding one of those things to their lives will fix whatever issue they have going on. Also, people that don't have children sometimes are called selfish. I think people, especially people with serious problems that are not being addressed, that have children are just as, if not more, selfish than children-less adults. These people think the world needs another one of them running around, or they are using this human or animal to serve some purpose for their lives. The obvious answer is war. However, I say that while planning an invasion of the Soviet Union in Hearts of Iron for lol. I did 2 tours in Iraq. It's not fun. It's 90% sheer boredom and 10% scared for your life. Worse than the actual war is coming home, where it becomes 90% scared to death at everyday events and situations. Parenthood and pregnancies. So many lies spread about both of those things and it's gross. Sexual identity. Having a transsexual 6-year-old isn't an achievement that shows what a progressive parent you are. Right. The only thing it shows is that you're a parent willing to exploit your children's identity for your own benefit, instead of seeing it as a moment for you to actually accept your child for who they are. You see it as your own accomplishment as a parent. Young love. Your first relationship most likely won't last. It'll hurt when it does end. But it's not the end of the world. Romeo and Juliet was a tragedy, not a romance. The story is about 2 young people. Juliet is 13, who over the course of 4 days have a forbidden love and then commit suicide. Cultural products like music and movies especially FCK up kids who are dealing with raging hormones and insecurity. The idea that you are supposed to find true eternal love with another confused kid put on so much more and unrealistic expectations. Weddings. If a lot of these middle-class couples stopped with the huge expensive romantic weddings, they'd have a sizable amount of money to start off their marriage. And with money being the leading cause of divorce, every little bit helps. Serial killers. I know girls are usually poked fun at for this, but guys are super guilty of it too. The media is the most guilty. Shout out to Rolling Stone magazine for printing the face of a serial killer on the cover of the magazine. They know that this is wrong. They know that serial killers do it for the attention, but they simply don't care. The media is not trying to inform. It's here to make money and nothing else. Self-care. Shit's not all chocolates and bubble baths. Real self-care is pretty ugly and takes a long time. That cute tea is the self-care after the real stuff to make yourself feel like less of a masochist. The typical Hollywood bad boy. No. See, the typical Hollywood bad boy is fine to romanticize because he is just misunderstood and has a softer side no one but his love interest sees. And she's so special she's able to crack his outer shell and get him to feel his feelings and change and yada yada. The problem is thinking the Hollywood bad boy is a real person and you're that special person that's gonna change his life. Life isn't a movie. And of course this is also true for manic pixie dream girls. Being super wealthy. I'll always remember in a college psych class that we learned about a study where the researchers found that happiness is related to wealth up until $75,000 a year. After that, there's no correlation between the two. Girls thinking if they get with the bad boy, they can change him, soften him up. Meanwhile, he is abusive, manipulative, hurtful, etc. But it's okay because he is misunderstood. Why is this toxic storyline always in movies shows? See it movies when someone is in a really dark place and their love interest saves them. Bothers me how people will fantasize others being in pain so that they can save them. A lot of girls I know tend to act crazy towards their partners, then post their horoscopes and use it to justify their toxic behaviors. I had a former friend go into her boyfriend's social media and delete all his female followers' friends. Then when we talked to her about it, she was like, well, I'm a Leo so I can't help it. She thought the behavior was cute and that's when I stopped hanging out with her. The moon and the stars aren't making you crazy. You're just toxic. Truck driving. This kinda died in the 80s. But it still happens. Trucking isn't all flashy trucks highballing down the highway. It's a hard, dangerous job that can keep you away from your home and family for weeks at a time. Truckers are some of the hardest working people in the world. People with trisomy 21. They are not always happy and smiling in the sunshine of their family. They are people who can be in a bad mood too. And if they are not highly functional, you may have to care for them like for a toddler their whole life, and that won't be easy and funny and rewarding all the time. Men stalking women, or vice versa, because they are in love. It's terrifying. Having no idea when you're being watched, if and when they'll snap, or how possessive they are. Communism. Those people sent millions of my people to work camps and killed a little over 500,000 people. Capitalism. 9 million people die every year from lack of clean water, medicine, shelter or food. Not because we don't have it, but because it is not profitable to give it to them. I disagree with you about what communism is, but let's agree that centralization of power is the real evil. Romance movies. Most romantic movies show one person has to give everything to another in order to be loved fully. Love is two-way street. The mafia. Where I'm from, I see these people and their families sometimes. Absolute scum and should not be glorified in the media. Weed. Sure, it's not as bad as alcohol or cigarettes, but that doesn't mean it's healthy. It just means those things are worse. Being overworked. Having lots of sex with lots of strangers. There's nothing wrong with safe sex. But people seem to keep encouraging each other and hyping each other up about it. Mental illness. Binge drinking. Just trust me on this one. Doing hard drugs. Having children. Not everyone should do it. The amount of relationships they've been in. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I sure as hell won't congratulate you. Criminal actions just because the one who did it has a dark or bitter past. Sexual orientation, identity and race. We somehow went from just wanting to be seen as normal to making these three things the center of our identities and feeling superior for it. Come on. People. We're not enlightened just because we aren't white straight cis. We didn't choose any of those traits. War. There are so many ways, and better ways, to serve your country than by killing people. Like Eisenhower said, it may be a necessary evil, but it is still evil. Drumming up wars merely because the military contractors want to increase their profit margins is the larger evil MO. And they say scientists are trying to scam us with global warming. As if these military contractors haven't been scamming us all this time. Organized crime. Especially when it comes to the Italian mafia. These guys are brutal sadistic fucks. Not some well-dressed grandpa bossing his children around. Romance. Sorry, but most romantic things are cheesy, forced, and not at all endearing, past thinking to yourself she is trying to say I love you. The most romantic things my husband of 15 years does for me is the unexpected small things. Picking up a Starbucks for me on his way home. Taking my car in for service. Things that make my everyday just a little bit better. That love. That's marriage. Yes, I know everyone is different. But mostly the hearts, cards, gestures one thinks of as romantic is just completely not. People in the hood, even drug dealers themselves, would prefer if bourgeois America would stop romanticizing drug dealers as Robin Hood-esque figures. Same thing with rich white women championing sex work, ignoring the fact that sex work is rooted in men objectifying women and its entire existence is a failing of capitalism. Wine. I see shirts that say I need wine and my dog, or eat sleep wine repeat. It's literally promoting alcoholism. The notion of the past being better. Things today are measurably better in almost all ways than they used to be. And as long as we keep trying, things will continue to get generally better all the time. That doesn't mean that we don't take half steps backwards sometimes in certain places, but things continue in a positive trend. Let's stop romanticizing the past. Though it's been less and less over the years. But Harley and Joker. Also, in my opinion, the Twilight series and Romeo and Juliet. Twilight was garbage, and there are just better stories from around the Shakespearean era. With today's world, Othello is way more multi-layered and nuanced, applicable, relatable than just dumbass kids in a suicide pact. If anything, Romeo and Juliet is prime example of bored-ass rich kids with piss-poor planning abilities. Drug addiction. It's sad, not poetic or a component of an aesthetic. Communism. I know some people who enjoy all freedoms of democracy, but are armchair communists. I hate this lot. When I read about what China does to the Uyghurs, I feel intense hate. US healthcare is freedom of choice. Nothing like getting limited service because you can't afford to visit the doctor or insurance. Also, having a big medical event putting one in abject poverty is awesome. I like losing my house and the car that gets me to work. Getting turned 24/7. I don't mind partying every now and then. In fact, I'm fairly extroverted. However, I see that partying is slowly becoming people's only personality trait, and it's really annoying. Get a hobby or something, goddammit.